Howdy, this is Mr. Pete again. This time making a short road trip, 25 miles, to pick up a Craftsman commercial 15-inch vertical metal cutting bandsaw that I bought on an online auction. And I bought some other miscellaneous things, not of much value, but maybe of minor interest to some of you. But join me now, and I'll turn the camera off and see you presently at the pickup point. I hope it's not too crowded, because it'll be a very awkward driveway and area to get into. Well, we're approaching the site, and I see there's already people with trailers. This isn't going to be easy. Well, here I am back home with another load of junk, and it never ends, and I have unfinished projects the same as the man where I just bought this bandsaw. And I'm in the middle of a repair job here on the Cub Cadet, so there's not much room here, but let me get this thing unloaded. They helped me load it when I was there. There were some good guys. And there's that Reed vise. There'll be a separate video on that, of course. And a video on this Craftsman saw when I start to set it up, and I'll talk about it, see if it's any good. Well, I forgot to turn the camera on. I unloaded it by myself, and it was manageable, but barely. It is quite heavy. There it is with the guards off, and you can see the gearbox. And from this side, you can see here that the tire has come off, and that probably happened when his neighbor crashed the saw and ruined the blade. I can see by the manual, he gave me the manual, this was purchased in 2011, so it's 8 or 9 years old, and has 15 minutes worth of actual use on it. Maybe it's a bad omen that that blade came off and the tire came off, and it's just poor design and poor construction. I sure hope not, because I did pay a good $1 for this. Hello once again, it's Professor Pete, your YouTube shop teacher, and I know I promised you that I wasn't going to go to any more auctions. Well, I kept the promise in part because this was an offline auction, so I didn't actually go to the auction, but I had to go and pick up the items. And that's what this video is all about, and this little clip here may be out of sequence, but I'm going to show you the things that I bought today. There was a lot of junk. I didn't spend a lot of money, but I bought entire shelf loads of canned goods and things like that. But the main purchase was the bandsaw, which I'll flash here in just a minute. The Craftsman 15-inch metal cutting vertical saw, contour saw. And while I was at it, I bought a few other things that I didn't need, and got a pretty good buy, I think, on the bandsaw, and had enough money left over to buy that Reed vise that I didn't need either. So let me show you what I bought today, and I'm going to run through it pretty fast, but then again, there isn't a whole lot to show you other than the saw. This is the 15-inch Craftsman Professional slow speed vertical contour metal cutting saw, and you know I have almost a fetish about these bandsaws, and I got many more than what I did. This was about a $1,000 saw when new. It has almost no use on it, but it has some issues, and we'll talk all about that in future videos. And then looking down here on the floor, I bought, I told you, 3 shelffuls of various goods, and that's only $9 worth there. So, and most of it I have to throw away. Some of it is old, some of it is probably out of date and so on. The man was 90 years old and he's been sick, and that's why he's selling out, including the house and furniture and all of that goods. I did talk to him, a very nice man. I'll tell you what he said about the bandsaw in another video, but he wasn't very active in his shop for some time, so that's why I think some of these items will be out of date or dried up or whatever. But what I'm going to do off camera is to go through all of this and pick out the good things that I do intend to keep that might be worth mentioning. My wife has already gone through there and taken all of the cleaning supplies out. But, you know, 2 or 3 cans of something is $9, as you well know. All right, let me show you the tools that I got. And there's not many. I think you're aware that there isn't much value anymore on power tools that have cords. People want the battery operated ones, but here's a Bosch variable speed that I bought. And I really don't have a good jigsaw other than a Craftsman, and it's no good because the switch doesn't work. I'm going to get rid of that. But here's a nice little saw for, did I say it's about $10? That's probably a pretty expensive one if you had to buy it. The old man that owned these tools was a gearhead, and there was an old Model T bucket, whatever you call those things, and a ranchero and a few things like that. And a lot of tools that he used working on cars, and there was a lot of unfinished projects. I do like Milwaukee tools, so that's $2. You see a lot of that. I don't know how old this is, but you know that's a nice drill, and that one will be plugged in and kept right here as my everyday user. Again, I must insist that you turn this video off if you think it's a bragging session. This is a $3 box. I only bought it because this type of hold-down clamp works real nice on a drill press. It's a vice grip type, but of course it's from the Orient, but still should serve the purpose. Nice if you're drilling a plate of steel or something like that to hold it down to the table, keep it from spinning. And in there are, you know, a dozen pliers, mostly junk. People get mad when I say junk, but you know, these are what? These are Kmart tools. Those aren't any good. A couple of crescents here that are good, and I don't know about these. I'll have to go through them. Haven't really looked at them, but I did notice that I believe this is a snap-on. I can't read it till I clean it, but isn't that what they call the vacuum grip? Snap-on lovers, let me know. Also, I get criticized for abusing tools. For instance, I just dumped those tools on the bench, like, you know, they're a bunch of garbage, but you know, there is some good stuff there, and you know, they've already been handled pretty roughly, I think, over the years. Oh, I simply must tell you that I bid on about 30 items and was outbid on 21 of them. So again, you people that think that I get things for nothing, you know, you're wrong. I often get outbid. Well, this was a $20 box. I do not need any more adjustable wrenches. As you know, I have 100 of them, I think. No, it makes 110 now. Well, I kind of separated these already, and these are all generic Chinesium. You know, this one says industrial, yeah, but there's no brand on it. But it doesn't say China either, and it's froze up. So, you know, this stuff I will get rid of. By the way, there's a couple of these little die-cast things in there made in Hong Kong. We're going to break one here presently just to see if there's any strength in them at all. And I know these are, I guess, toys, really. But over here we got, did you ever hear of Artesian or Artisan? I don't know if they're any good or who made them, but anyway, there's a Craftsman, a channel lock, but I was quite disappointed on this channel lock when I found out that it's made in Spain. You know, the rain in Spain falls mainly on the plain. Are you familiar with that? All right, there we got a little industrial, Duro Industrial. This will make good rust removal projects. There's a crescent. Remember, it's not a crescent unless it says so on the handle. Crescent, crescent, Craftsman, another crescent, and a Danielson. Did you ever hear of a Danielson? Anyway, here's a nice selection of, and these I will sell or give away to friends or grandsons or something like that. Here's a real quality one called Toolsmith. Whoops. Looks pretty though. Okay, let's do a destructive test on this little adjustable wrench. I don't think this one's going to do much. This belongs on a keychain. You see that? That's absolutely worthless. And the other one looks a little better. Maybe these were Cracker Jack prizes. You know, it won't even tighten up. Yeah, total waste of resources. Without further ado, I'm going to go through this stuff and pull out what I consider good and then discard items such as, you know, wood stain and all of that. Probably something in there, but I just don't need most of that stuff or want it around. I don't have enough shelf space. And by the way, I had to take this stuff off of the shelves and load it in my own containers. The auction company was good to work with. Matter of fact, they lost something on me. There was a tray of batteries. They could not find it. I don't know if somebody ran off with it or what, but she gave me a refund. A whole $2. All right, I'm back. It's 30 minutes later, and I've gone through all of this stuff and determined that most of this is a waste or I can't use it. But like there's a full gallon of polyester resin there for fiberglassing and a lot of stuff like that. Partial containers, but stuff that I probably won't use. Brake fluid that's been opened, I don't believe in using that. So that's all going to go in the landfill, I guess. I would rather take a beating than wax a car or do anything with the finish, but my grandson Jordan just bought himself a 2014 Chevy truck, Silverado, and you know, when you first get something like that, you like to polish it, but I'm going to give him all that stuff, otherwise I'd throw it away. But there's a lot of the Meguiar's and the Mother's brand, and you know, if you had to buy that, you know, that you wouldn't get that for $100. But to me, it's worthless. I threw over 50% of the spray paint away, but those appear to be full containers, never used. I didn't try them, but I'm going to put them in stock. Their colors I think I can use, except for that blue one. You know, that costs $3 or $4 a can. Over here, not much, but there's a bunch of empty spray bottles that I might be able to use for something, or I'll pitch them, I don't know. But down here we got 4 oil cans. They're all made in America, but I don't see the brand. I don't know if they're Plus or what. And a big old one there, pump oiler. It looks like an Eagle if it gets cleaned up. And I don't know what kind of oil is in it. Not a real big fan of WD-40, as you know, but there's a full container of it, plus 20%. This is about half full, and here's a spray bottle marked WD-40. This is a full can of Bondo. I do like my Bondo, and I did open it up to make sure it's not hardened and it's okay. And there's a gallon of that better stuff for the windshield washer, not the 99 centers. I think you all know that you can never be too thin or too rich or have enough brake cleaner. So there's a couple of those. That one's not quite full. A couple quarts of oil, Mobil 5W30, 10W40, brand new. About a half container of Stable. And you know what? Oh, there's some compressor oil, and I threw a few others away. Right here we have, I almost threw this out. They're not all full, but you know what? That's that pre-mixed gasoline you use in a weed eater, you know, 50 to 1. That one's 40 to 1. Cost about $90 a gallon if you figure it out, you know. For that, I don't know who would buy that, so I don't know if I should dump that. I don't like those two-cycle engines. They don't start anyway. And there's a full gallon of antifreeze, and there's a partial gallon over there I think I'm going to pitch. But you can see there's some pretty good stuff, and I'm not done. This guy must have had a lot of leaky radiators, because there's a whole box full of these tubes of radiator sealer. I think it's like aluminum dust is what it is. All right, yeah, I love my anti-seize. And there's a spray can of Toolmaker Blue. Now, I never did know what Marvel Mystery Oil is. I think it's a dream or a wish in a can. Not sure what this is for. Very expensive. I think it's wishful thinking. Extends engine life, something you could neither prove nor disprove. I know that I'm skeptical, but you will be too when you're 75. Feel free to turn it off, because I'm just going to go through this. Half a gallon of lacquer thinner. There's all kinds of this Durham's Rock Hard, which I kind of like. Some full de-icer. We need that in Illinois, you know. Some of you people don't know what it is, and you're lucky you don't. We got spray cans of liquid wrench and silicone and WD-40 and the hand cleaner there. Oh, acetone, new gallon or quart of Rust-Oleum, strainers, grease. There was a lot of assembly lube and so on, because he worked on engines, but that's pretty much it here. You can. The thing about keeping all of this stuff, which I'm going to keep some of it, is it just sits there and takes up shelf space, and some of this stuff you just never do use, as obviously he didn't either, as he became a 90-year-old in ill health. So that concludes this video on my online auction, at which I spent approximately a little over $200, but did I mention that there was a 20% upcharge because it was an online auction? I don't like that, but I guess that's what it takes to do that. If you don't like it, you don't bid. And I wanted to leave some of this stuff there at the auction site, but they really wanted it cleaned out. Otherwise, at a regular auction, I just leave it sit rather than take it home, because now I got to move it 2 or 3 times and then put it in the dumpster. So, this is Tubal Cain saying so long for now, and be sure and watch the videos on the bandsaw when available, and that Reed vise. If you don't. This is Tubal Cain saying so long for now, and thank you for watching. I'm here at an auction preview looking at a metal cutting bandsaw. It's a Sears 14-inch, like new. Someone, of course, put the obligatory wet rag on here, causing it to rust. But I was just talking to the owner, and he's had said it was has received very little use. Pretty dark in here.
This blew my mind.
That's it. Right now it's at $650. What's that big box, which I probably should get.